The headlines are buzzing with a dramatic twist in YNW Melly's legal saga. Prosecutors may have just dealt a major blow to any hopes he had of walking free. In a bold legal maneuver, they're pushing to have Bortlen and Melly tried side by side, likely with the intention of turning Bortlen into a key witness against his co-defendant. It's a high-stakes strategy that could change everything. Supporters are urging the public to keep Melly in their thoughts as this next chapter unfolds.
Issue here, and you can try them together. It is to the benefit of the state to try them together. It's just more efficient. You don't have to do things again and again. Do it all at once, and also you get a better chance of having them incriminate each other during the trial. It benefits the defense to sever it. That way they can point the finger at each other and get away with it. So this is what's going on. But I don't think it should be automatically severed because the state is seeking the penalty for Melly, because it's only the penalty phase of the trial that would be different, not the guilt phase. The guilt phase is the same. They're both capital crimes. You're seeking the penalty on one, not the other, but that goes into the second part of the trial, the penalty phase, only if Melly is found guilty.
Let's be real. If Bortlen truly believes he had no hand in the crime, it's hard to imagine he'll just sit quietly and accept a life sentence without protest. When the weight of forever behind bars presses down, self-preservation kicks in. That's exactly why prosecutors are banking on him cracking under pressure. They plan to use footage from his police interrogation as leverage, hoping he'll shift the blame onto Melly in order to save himself.
Okay, tell me what happened.
Man, I was playing music, getting off the exit. I was already getting sleepy, almost home, you know what I'm saying? And like, just out of nowhere, like, I just heard, you know what I'm saying? So, and I ducked down, you know what I'm saying, in the car,
Hey,
and I almost crashed the car.
Let me back you up a few minutes. Where were you coming from?
I was coming from the studio, from Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale studio. Which way did you take?
I took I-75, 595
to 75.
Expressway.
Then you took 75 south?
From the moment Bortlen sat down with investigators, it was clear something wasn't right. His version of events simply wasn't lining up with the physical evidence, or rather, the glaring lack of it. Officers combed through the entire scene, shoulder to shoulder, leaving no inch unchecked. And yet, they didn't recover a single shell casing, not a shard of glass, nothing. That silence at the crime scene spoke louder than any words. Despite this, Bortlen clung to his story with confidence, trying to paint a picture of truth. But cracks began to show, and soon enough he was cornered in a web of contradictions. The detectives knew it, and Bortlen could feel it. Frustration took over as the pressure mounted. "You're telling us these were your close friends, right?" one officer pressed. "Then why does none of this make sense?" Tension filled the room as Bortlen pushed back. His voice raised, his patience wore thin. "I told y'all what happened. I'm done talking," he snapped, clearly agitated by the skepticism. But for detectives, that's just another phase in the process. When a suspect shuts down, it becomes their job to restart the conversation, carefully. Not to provoke, but to peel back the layers. They probe deeper, not just to catch a lie, but to catch a change in tone, a shift in detail. Anything that breaks the cycle and moves the truth closer to the surface. In this moment, the interrogation becomes a psychological chess game. One misstep from either side could change everything. As the clock ticked down on Bortlen's interrogation, the officers shifted gears, circling back to the drive-by, pressing him for details. How exactly was he driving? Did he hit anything? They needed clarity. But when the questions began touching nerves, the conversation peeled back deeper layers. One officer tried to understand the context. "Are you having issues with anyone?" Bortlen, holding on to composure, answered vaguely, blaming the pressures of rising fame. "You know how it is when you start doing well," he said. "People start hating." There were hints of jealousy, rivalries, and tension brewing in their hometown. Bortlen described how his friend had warned him that people from their old neighborhood, Vero Beach, had been acting strange, even throwing shade online. But time was running out. With only minutes left, the officer dropped all pretense and asked the simplest question of all. If you knew who did this, would you tell me? No games, no leading, just truth. Even if it's something I don't want to hear, the officer added, I'd rather have honesty than lies. That moment was critical. Bortlen didn't say yes, he didn't say no. He just slowly shook. His head. It was subtle, but telling. A spoken denial might have cracked under pressure, revealed stress in his tone, or betrayed emotion. That silence spoke volumes to investigators, confirming what they already suspected. Bortlen was holding something back, and that silence had consequences. For Melly, it signaled another crushing blow in his ongoing legal battle. The court saw through the uncertainty, and on May 12th, a judge ruled that he would remain in custody until his retrial, set for September. It was a devastating outcome. Melly, accused of murdering two of his former friends, Juvie and Sack Chaser, has spent 6 long years behind bars awaiting justice. Hope had flickered briefly when he was granted bond on one of 6 charges. His family, especially his mother, believed that freedom was finally near, but that hope was quickly overshadowed by the reality of a justice system not yet ready to let go.
Just still praying. I know I said I would I'll keep everybody updated with what's happening. I know right now we're waiting. So basically the judge is going to do, I guess, a written order. So we're just waiting, and that order can come any minute, or it could come tomorrow. I don't know. So we're just waiting. We're just waiting. So everybody just keep praying, keep having faith. Oh, Tessa, stop. I've been crying too. It's been a long time coming.
After more than 2,200 days behind bars, it finally seemed like a door was cracking open for YNW Melly. A judge granted him bond on one of 6 charges, a glimmer of hope following years of confinement and even a mistrial. His team, his family, and Melly himself believed freedom might be near. But that light quickly dimmed when the prosecution revealed its next move, one that felt more like a trap than a trial strategy. Prosecutors struck deals with 2 people closest to Melly, his ex-girlfriend Mariah Hamilton and his longtime friend, Bortlen. Mariah had been missing in action during Melly's first trial, even dodging a court order to testify. Instead of showing up, she fled the country and became a fugitive. But that run ended the moment she stepped off an international flight at Miami International Airport. U.S. Border Patrol arrested her on the spot. Mariah, who had no prior criminal record, was booked into Broward County Jail. It didn't take long before she was offered a deal: testify against Melly in exchange for release. She accepted and posted cryptically on Facebook, "And to my village, I love y'all so much. God's plan, not mine." But her involvement only deepened the trouble. Investigators uncovered messages in her iCloud that allegedly showed Melly pressuring her not to take the stand. That led to a serious new accusation: witness tampering, a felony that could land him in prison for life, regardless of whether he's ultimately convicted in the original double murder case involving Juvie and Sack Chaser. And the charges didn't stop there. The state filed 6 fresh ones against Melly and 2 others, including allegations of directing criminal activity, using communication devices to further those acts, and conspiracy to tamper with witnesses. Some of those charges carry the possibility of a life sentence if proven in court. Importantly, this new case is separate from the murder charges, but it's already had a devastating impact. Because of the alleged tampering, jail officials cut Melly off from phone use entirely. He can't speak to his family. He can't even read their letters. His mother, in a recent interview, said, "My son hasn't been convicted of anything, but even inmates who have been convicted still get to call their families or write them. He doesn't even get his mail." While such restrictions would be illegal without solid proof, officials appear confident they're on firm ground. And now, in a twist of irony, Bortlen, Melly's co-defendant and one-time friend, is poised to testify against him in the upcoming retrial. It's a sharp turn in a case that has seen its fair share of betrayal. During the initial trial, Melly's legal team tried to pin blame on Bortlen, but prosecutors have since turned the narrative around. They're portraying Bortlen as the one who may now help seal Melly's fate. After all, Bortlen was the one who drove to the hospital with the lifeless bodies of Juvie and Sack Chaser in the backseat of his car. He showed up with a fresh change of clothes and, according to forensic experts, traces of gunpowder on his hands suggesting recent firearm use. He also lied, repeatedly, about where the crime happened, about how it happened, even about owning a phone, despite nearly everyone in his circle carrying one. A forensic analyst later testified that residue consistent with gun discharge was found on both his hands. Not a lot, but enough to matter. Following the mistrial, Bortlen posted a cryptic tweet. "Mind games don't work on people like me," along with a handshake emoji, possibly signaling he had struck a deal. Meanwhile, Melly's legal team is far from giving up. They're challenging the no-bond decision, trying to reframe their argument in court. Now, the question remains, will the court be swayed? Will Melly finally be granted freedom? Or will the walls close in further as those once closest to him turn into the very voices that could put him away? Melly's legal team made a bold proposal. Let him out on bond, paid by his record label, $300 entertainment. In return, they promised strict conditions. He would be confined to house arrest, tracked by an ankle monitor, and surrounded by a team of private security to ensure compliance. The request sent waves of hope through his supporters. One rapper even tweeted, "That boy Melly coming home. I feel it." For Melly's mother, the possibility of her son's release was more than legal progress. It was emotional relief. She's been vocal about the pain of watching her son endure what she claims is mistreatment behind bars. When asked how she felt reading Melly's public statement describing fear for his safety and emotional distress, her response was raw. "It's heartbreaking. I feel completely helpless." She went further, criticizing the Broward Sheriff's Office for allegedly running the jail with no accountability. "They make their own rules," she said. "We went to court about this, but the judge has no real control over the jail. And that's not right. Someone needs to hold them responsible too." In their fight for Melly's release, his defense team presented a key piece of evidence from the first trial, GPS data. It showed Melly wasn't at the scene of the shooting. Instead, they say he was running down a street, ducking into a bush, and messaging someone that he was being followed. According to that person's testimony, Melly seemed shaken and unsure if his friends, Sack Chaser and Juvie, were still alive. "There's a car behind me," he reportedly said, hinting that the threat hadn't passed. This account supports the defense's narrative that the fatal shooting was a drive-by committed by someone else. Reinforcing this claim, they emphasized a critical point. No firearm was ever recovered at the scene. If a drive-by happened, they argued, the shooter likely left with the weapon. However, the prosecution isn't letting up. To keep Melly locked up, they're leaning heavily on recorded phone calls from jail, conversations they believe show Melly either confessing or implicating himself in the crime. Without a murder weapon to present, the state is focused on any verbal evidence it can use to link him directly to the killings. The courtroom battle continues to evolve, but one thing is clear. Both sides are pulling every string, turning over every stone. For Melly, what's at stake isn't just his freedom, it's his future, his name, and possibly his life.
PZ Gambino account asked him if he was okay, and his response was, "I did that," and placed a smiley face emoji.
And the next message from 10/26/2018 at 16:02 from Eastern Standard Time. The YNW Melly count says what?
After that, SHH.
Investigators stumbled upon a piece of digital evidence that struck a nerve. A Facebook Live video stored on Melly's phone, capturing him and Bortlen in high spirits. The two were seen laughing, dancing, and celebrating, seemingly without a care in the world. What made this discovery so jarring wasn't just their behavior, but the timing. The video was filmed mere hours after the fatal incident. To law enforcement, the carefree energy radiating from the video painted a troubling picture. It cast doubt on any claims of shock or grief, and instead hinted at a disturbing detachment, or perhaps even a cover-up. In the eyes of the prosecution, this wasn't just a moment of levity. It could be interpreted as a glimpse into the mindset of two men who knew far more than they were letting on.
Melly still turned regardless of what happened this early morning. He's still out here being very positive. Turned still. Hey! No, still turned, regardless of what happened. You already know.
While Melly and Bortlen's upbeat video showed no hint of grief for the tragic loss of their two close friends, a new and potentially explosive revelation added more fuel to the fire. According to a former associate of the group, someone once, tied to the O-Black crew, Melly may have had a financial motive behind the crime. The claim? He no longer wanted to split his earnings with Sack Chaser and Juvie. This insider shared a conversation involving another rapper, Vaughn, who allegedly hinted at tension beneath the surface. Vaughn didn't outright accuse Melly, but his words carried an unspoken weight. He confronted someone for posting about the incident online, clearly upset, and questioned why loyalty was being shown to people he believed had been trying to take advantage of Melly. The implication was chilling. Vaughn believed Sack Chaser and Juvie were trying to extort Melly, leveraging their friendship for financial gain. If true, that resentment may have been bubbling for some time. And when the trust between friends starts to erode, especially with money on the line, loyalty can quickly turn into betrayal.